Hello folks, welcome back to another Wise Game video. In today's video we're going to be looking at Shadowlands. That's right, that's a new expansion due out sometime this year from World of Warcraft. Today's video is going to be covering Shadowland and when it comes to the PvP side of things, gearing and things along that nature. It's a very exciting time right now for PvP players because they're going to be coming back with the PvP vendor system, making the game now not all on 100% RNG. And seeing this game is not released yet and it's only on alpha, which I do not have the invite to play alpha at this moment, there is not too much information that we could find out about the nuts and bolts when it comes to the mechanics of this game. I even did ask some popular streamers if they know about the PvP vendors yet and what kind of gearing we're expecting to see for Shadowlands, and they said that the PvP has not been implemented yet in alpha. But I did find some information that I want to share with you guys today, and if you guys know anything about what's going to be going on with the PvP system, please comment below. I want this video to be a collaboration between all of us, so that we can understand more about the PvP system for Shadowlands. So again, this article on Wowhead is about the only article I could find that actually shows us a little bit about PvP gear for Shadowlands. So looking at the table of contents, we see that they have PvP vendors, item upgrade vendor, Shadowlands Alpha PvP gear list, unrated gear, and rated gear. PvP vendors, there are currently 3 NPCs in the area, and that area is called Oribus. 2 of the vendors in which sells that looks to be PvP gear. 1 vendor currently sells unrated gear. The other vendor currently sells rated gear. So as most of us do know, unrated gear is from more casual PvP events like random battlegrounds. Rated gear is through more intense PvP events, including RBGs, rated battlegrounds, and also arenas. Item upgrade vendor. The final NPC is called Aggressor Zodash, who gives you the option to upgrade an item. But even Wowhead's also saying that they don't have 100% clear information about this right now. But what they do know is that Shadowlands PvP honor will be used to upgrade PvP equipment. Now what we're looking at next here is the device that they're going to include in Shadowlands that looks very similar to what we see in Battle for Azeroth. This is where you could drag your item into this slot to upgrade those pieces of gear. You can upgrade many equipable items to increase their item level. The currency required to upgrade an item varies depending on the item's source. Next is Shadowlands Alpha PvP gear list for unrated gear. The unrated gear is item level 175 and can be bought with Shadowlands PvP honor for varying amounts. There's no weapons currently on this vendor. So maybe once the game actually goes live after the testing period, maybe they will eventually later on add weapons to this vendor. So going by this list, the cloak on the top will sell for 375 currency of honor points, which you will need to buy this. Then if we look at the bottom of the list, we have a pair of leggings that would sell for 675 honor points. Next, what we see here is the menu from the vendor list. So this is like the vendor table. This is where you can pick each item that you need. And then if you mouse over it, it should show the stats, which is very similar to the way that the game used to look in the past with PvP vendors. What we see here is lastly, the gear has rank 1 listed at the top. And this is a question. Could this be what we are upgrading? Now, looking at this image that we're looking at this moment, this is Unrated Accessory back piece. It's got stats of 28 intel, 43 stamina, 24 haste, and 29 mastery. So I guess Wowhead is wondering, is it just going to raise the item level or also the stats? I'm assuming it would have to upgrade all of the above for this to actually make any sense. But now looking at this image of this back piece, there is one thing that's kind of a downfall to me, and that there is no PvP actual stats added to this. So when it comes to the actual gear in Shadowlands, is it going to follow the same path of Battle for Azeroth? We'll get a little more into that in just a bit. Let's move on. Next is Rated Gear. The Rated Gear is going to start off at item level 195 and can be bought with Shadowlands PvP weekly reward progress for varying amounts. Now, I'm assuming, again, it's all assumption, that this is going to tie in with the conquest points, because they are supposed to be coming back with the conquest point system also for Shadowlands. Unlike the unrated gear, there are weapons on this vendor. So now going by this list, the cloak at the very top would sell for 250 currency. And then at the bottom of the list, we have legs for 450 currency for the rated gear. And next is a list of the weapons that are going to be available. So again, when you first get one of these weapons, again, it's going to be rank 1, and it's going to start off at item level 195. So for the weapon that we're looking at the very top of the list is a one-handed agility strength axe, which will sell for 350 currency. And then third up from the bottom of the list is a two-handed agility strength sword, which will sell for 700 currency. So I am guessing that this is going to be in the currency of conquest points, but I could be wrong. We'll see as more time goes on. Now next we have an actual image of a sword that you could get from PvP. So this is a rated weapon, two-handed sword melee. Again, it starts off at rank 1, which is item level 195. And then it can go up once you start upgrading it. So right now we're still seeing stat-wise that it has 61 agility, 98 stamina, 54 critical strike, and 54 versatility. Now, this seems all fine and dandy, but again, now comes the cruncher. There is still no PvP actual stats added to this weapon, which to me can cause a little bit of an issue. Sure, they're giving us the option with the vendors being back again to pick out what piece of gearing we need per week or whenever you cap your points out. But they're still not giving PvPers through items, equipment, and weapons really an advantage at all in PvP situations because there is no PvP stat gearing. Which, as I said earlier, kind of follows the path of what we're playing now in Battle for Azeroth. And this does happen to be a concern right now because I did read some forums lately and people are actually concerned about this also. I've watched some streamers, they mentioned it, and also some YouTube videos from very large channels, claiming for the true PvP system to really come back and have a full effect, like we had in the Burning Crusade right up to Warlords of Draenor, we would need to have both implements in the game. Not only PvP vendors, but also PvP stat gearing. Because what this does is that it's still forcing all players of the game to have to do PvE events like raids and dungeons. Because that would still be the most feasible, easiest way to get your item sets in the game. Let me put it this way, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to get maybe a mythic 9 level piece than it is to get a 2400 rating in PvP events. So with that being said, the average player of say 1600 rating in PvP, and they're in a battleground, and there's a PvE player that's all geared out in mythic number 9 or number 10 gears, is also in that same battleground, guess who's going to have the wicked advantage now? Bingo, it goes back to the PvE Dungeon Runner. Now, personally speaking, I know most players are into PvE, you know, raids and all that good stuff. Myself, I'm not. I actually, when I was in my PvP guild for like 4 years, I never looked at a dungeon ever. But it was during the parts of the game where they had a good PvP system and you didn't need to do any PvE to gear up in the game. Now, I realize it's really too soon to really tell exactly what's going to end up happening once this game goes live. So I'm not going to get too twisted about it at this moment. And like I said, if a lot of popular streamers and a lot of people complain about this on forums, I'm sure Blizzard's going to listen now. And maybe come back with that full impact PvP system that we once had in World of Warcraft. So I guess only time will tell now, guys. So this is why I'd love to hear from you below, from comments, in case if you have more information that I didn't cover in today's video, or that I do not know about. And that's about it, folks. So again, thanks for stopping by and watching Wise Gamer. Feel free to sub up for those future videos. Comment below, we'd love to hear from you. Until then, you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.